On. There we go. Oh my gosh, no sound. I was talking with no sound. Well, we'll be editing that that out. Thank you for sticking around. Apologies for that. I've been talking and you haven't heard anything I've said. So quickly, I'm back. It's been four weeks that I've been away. There's been good stuff and bad stuff that I've been involved in. Unfortunately, I've been under the weather for the past 4 weeks. I've had vertigo. I don't wish it on anyone. It's been absolutely awful. It's been like I've been on like a carnival ride for the past month. It's awful to deal with. It's slowed everything down in my work. Obviously, vertigo is something awful. Inner ear balance issues, but I'm feeling better. I'm recuperating, and I've just been so excited to be able to get back in and start sharing my passion of the night sky with all of you. And thank you so much for sticking with me. Good news, though, is that I have a book that will be coming out next year. I can just give a little teaser. It's a new book. I'm working with a National Geographic, wonderful team of people. It's all about stargazing. It's all about the night sky and the universe. It's a monumental work with a team of people I'm working with at National Geographic. I'll have more information in the coming weeks and months. So stay tuned. It'll be coming out next year, 2022 fall. And so I'm just excited to tease that a little bit. I get a little information for you, but it's a really exciting stuff. And it'll be a great addition to your library, I think, in terms of understanding the night sky. So I'm excited about that. But why don't we dig in to what you can see in the night sky this week? We're back in action, guys. And here we are. We've got the night sky set up for November 8th, 2021, the night sky this week. And it starts off with Monday, November 8th. And what you see pinning down the southwest sky, that brilliant star-like object, which is not a star but a planet, is Venus. And joining Venus is this beautiful, slender crescent moon. The pairing is just gorgeous. Highly recommend you go out. So you just need a good line of sight towards the southwestern skies soon after your sunset today. Maybe perhaps where you're watching from right now, it's already in the evening and you can see that Moon-Venus couple setting. And now where is the moon? The moon is actually in the constellation Sagittarius. Here you can see the mythological figure, the centaur figure, where the moon is nestled in, and it's kind of hanging inside the asterism we call the teapot. And you can see the teapot here next to Venus. Again, this is something that you'd maybe see. This is about, I would say, about a 45 minutes to an hour after your local sunset, where you'll be able to start seeing those stars very low in the southwestern skies. If we zoom out from the view that we have here, you'll see some other friends still there, Saturn and Jupiter. These two planets are very easy to see, and they just, it's very cool to see these four worlds, Jupiter, Saturn, the moon, and Venus all lined up. Now, what's interesting, this is where some of the understanding of the night sky comes in handy and knowing where to expect certain objects to appear. Now, the planets, the moon, and the sun follow something we call the ecliptic. This is, you can think of as the highway of the planets and the moon. This is the line, and you can see this diagonal line. This is the line that stretches across from the western to the eastern part of the sky. And it's along that line that these planets do appear. And they don't appear anywhere else. They really just appear along that line. That is where you'll see them always appearing. And what's very cool is if we wait until it gets dark, the moon actually gets out of the way. So we still have the ecliptic. Obviously, there's Saturn and Jupiter along the ecliptic, but we're left behind with darker skies. And what I wanted to show just very quickly is some of the constellations that you can expect to really be highlighted under dark skies without the moon in the late night skies. Right now, in the early part of this week, it's really a great time to learn your constellations because the moon's glare can really sort of block out a lot of the fainter stars. So this time of the year in the northern hemisphere, when it's autumn, and of course for those of you it's springtime in the southern hemisphere, you can look for Pegasus. Pegasus is very easy to find. It's what you'll notice right away at this time of the year, there's not too many bright stars. I mean, there's Jupiter and Saturn, which are planets, but the stars themselves that make up the autumn skies or the springtime skies in the southern hemisphere, there's not as many bright objects, stellar objects that you'll see, but four of them basically create this giant square that you can see in the constellation Pegasus. This is the chest of the flying horse, the mythological flying horse. And you can see that four stars. I'm going to zoom in here. You can see it very clearly. This is what we call the Great Square of Pegasus. Now, the Great Square of Pegasus is just very dominant in the autumn skies, and represents, like I said, the chest of the mythological horse, flying horse. And just off to the corner star, this one right here, called Alpheretz, it's shared by the neighboring constellation Andromeda. And you can see Andromeda sweeps away in sort of two lines that go parallel almost, sweeping away from the great square of Pegasus. That is Andromeda, the princess. And underneath Pegasus, you'll have another sweeping constellation, fairly faint, but it's Pisces. The two fishes, you can see the two fishes, they're connected down here by this line. And then one of the fishes has a formation of stars that is called the circlet. The circlet. And you can see the formation right here of these stars that form the circlet. Let me see if I can put an orange light line around it. There, right there, you can see, I've named it the circlet. So this is a really interesting formation, something that a beginner sky watcher would be, well to do to learn. It helps you in terms of navigating the night sky, understanding the sizes of constellations, the groups of stars, getting a sense of that. It's very different from looking at something in the book that's, really small to something very large in the sky. And the same thing with, you'll be surprised how big the great square of Pegasus is and the circlet group of stars. And it's something that it's really worth looking at. Right here, you can see this group of stars called the circlet, and it represents the head of one of the fishes in the constellation Pisces. So I want you guys to go out and take a look at that. Something simple. It's a great little challenge, sky watching challenge I want you guys to do. And I'll put a little star chart about this, showing you exactly what I have here on my timeline on Facebook and on Instagram and on Twitter as well. So check that out. Now, let me turn this asterisms off because I don't want to confuse everyone with too much information on the page. But let's go back to sunset. Again, this is Monday, but watch what happens when we go forward in time to Wednesday. So Tuesday, look where the moon is. Tuesday, now it's Tuesday, the moon is between Saturn and Venus. But by Wednesday, November 10th, look where the moon is. The moon is going to be positioned right underneath Saturn. Great conjunction. This is what astronomers called a planetary conjunction. When you have a planet close to another celestial object, in this case, it's the moon next to Saturn. It's a beautiful pairing. This is what you would see through binoculars. And of course, if you have a telescope and you zoom in on Saturn, that's where it gets very interesting. Even a small telescope will show the rings of Saturn. There you go. So that's really a very cool sight. Easy to find. If you haven't seen Saturn before, the moon will be pairing up with Saturn on November 10th, which is this Wednesday. So check that out. And then if we move to Thursday, November 11th, then you've got the moon pairing up with Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is much brighter than Saturn. The pair is always there in the sky for many weeks now, and the moon kind of goes through them almost every month. And this is another month where we have this beautiful set of pairings. So November 10th, the moon is next to Saturn. November 11th, Thursday night, the quarter moon. The moon is, you can see half lit now officially. And on Thursday evening, it just makes an absolutely beautiful, beautiful sight. So do check that out. And of course, if you wait until it gets a little dark, there you go. You can see it's going to be a beautiful photographic opportunity too. So if you've got a smartphone, take a photo and send it to me. You can share it on my Facebook timeline at The Night Sky Guy, or on my Twitter with the same name, or Instagram as well. That's at The Night Sky Guy. So I'd love to see what photographs you can do of this beautiful pairing between Jupiter and the moon. I think this will be even better than the Saturn one. The Saturn one is fainter. It's not as punchy as Jupiter is. I find Jupiter just really just like a brilliant beacon. Not as much as Venus, of course, but I think for the pairing between the moon and Jupiter, it'll just be a great opportunity to snap a photo. And you can do a nice wide angle shot with Venus off to the lower right too. And you might want to wait until it gets a little bit darker, maybe an hour and a half after sunset. And of course, if you wait as the hours progress, this pairing will just set late at night. By already, like this is, I'm already looking at around 10 o'clock at night when this view comes to pass. So Wednesday, Thursday, great stuff for the moon and planets, the gas giant worlds. And of course, let me not forget, if you use binoculars on Jupiter, you get to see the moons. That's right. You get to see the moons. They look like this, a little row of ducks, little dots beside the planet. Now, you have to hold your binoculars extremely steady, no shaking. If you shake even a little bit, it'll just have too much of a blurring effect and you'll lose those little dots. But if you can hold your binoculars steady, put it on a tripod or maybe on a, prop yourself on a ledge of some sort or, against a wall perhaps. As long as it's really as steady as you can, the binoculars will reveal these little dots, which are the 4 main moons of Jupiter. Jupiter has over 60 moons, but 4 of the largest ones, called the Galilean moons, are really easy to see. And they'll be neat. On Thursday, you'll have Europa on one side of Jupiter with Io, Ganymede, and Callisto lining up on the opposite side of the planet. Really neat. And of course, if you have a telescope, then you reveal the cloud bands that are there around Jupiter. You can see the 2 major dark brown cloud bands, or belts, as astronomers call them. And then there's even a sign, if you've got higher magnification, you can see the Great Red Spot. If you're timing this just right, late night on Thursday, it'll be coming into view, the Great Red Spot. This is a giant hurricane, a cyclone in the atmosphere of Jupiter that's been raging, we think, for a few hundred years. Imagine that. Our hurricanes last 4 or 5 days, a week at most. But here on Jupiter, this Great Red Spot is a hurricane twice the size of Earth. Imagine 2 Earths would fit side by side inside this giant hurricane. So that's something that you can easily, I wouldn't say so easily, but maybe if with some good observational, patience, you'll be able to see Jupiter and its Great Red Spot through high magnification of a small telescope. That's something that you could do. And if you've never seen Jupiter before, this week is great. The moon is acting as a wonderful guidepost on Thursday, tracking that down. So take a look at that. Now, there's one more thing I wanted to also see if we can find. Let's see. Hold on. There is actually a meteor shower that you can see. It's called the Northern Torrid Showers. Let's see if I can show the placement of it. So this is going to happen again Thursday night, November 11th, into Friday morning, November 12th. And in this case, the Northern Torrids, as the name implies, appears to originate from, radiate out from, is the Taurus constellation. Taurus, the bull, the mythological bull. Now, it rises late at night. Again, this is set around local time, I would say 9, 10 o'clock. It reaches its highest point around midnight, like this. This is the view from midnight. And that's basically when the radiant, where the shower, the individual shooting stars appear to radiate out from, that one spot in the sky. In this case, it's Taurus constellation, reaches its highest point in the sky, meaning you'll see the most meteors around your local midnight time. This is a shower that's very modest. It's annual. It's not like the Perseids or the Geminids, which are much more powerful, but it is fun to go see. It's known for fireballs every once in a while. And so you can expect anywhere from 5 to maybe 10 shooting stars per hour. And if you trace them back, the individual shooting stars, they appear to radiate out from this one spot in the sky. Again, that's the Taurus constellation. And Taurus, you can easily find its orange star is just to the right of Orion. Most of us have probably seen this if you've done any stargazing at all. Even if you're a complete novice, you've probably seen the three stars that make the belt of Orion. And if you look at those three stars late night, around midnight, low in the southeast, you can draw an imaginary line from to the right from using these three stars, the belt of Orion, and the next brightest star you reach is Aldebaran. That's the red eye of Taurus the bull. And that is where, basically, that's the constellation where the northern Taurid meteor shower is radiating out from. So hopefully you have clear skies to see that, because it's a really neat shower. And you don't have to look for the radiant. I want to be very clear. You don't have to look at the Taurus constellation. It's not necessary. You can look anywhere in the sky as long as you've got a clear view of the overhead skies. Try to find a spot with no direct lights. The moon will be out of the way for part of the show, but if you have the moon up at the time you're out watching, turn your back to the moon. That's always the best advice. If you're watching meteors, turn your back to the moon if it's up. That way you maintain your dark vision. That's very important. Your eyes take about 15 minutes to a half hour to adapt to darkness outside. And it does wonders. If your eyes get adapted to darkness, you want to maintain that by not looking at your smartphone, bright screen, or any bright lights. You want to keep it dark for the duration of your observation session. So I highly recommend dark adaptation for your vision. That takes, again, 15 to 20 minutes on average. And then you'll see a lot more shooting stars, and keep that moon to your back and you'll be able to see more of these faint meteors we call the northern Taurid meteor shower. So that's it for this week, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, please hit that subscribe button, whether you're watching on Twitch or Facebook, or are they still calling it even Facebook? I think it is. Who knows? And or YouTube as well. Please, I'd love to have you as a stargazing friend. And I'll be back next week with more of your night sky for this week. Until then, I wish all of you clear skies. Bye-bye.